4 months ago, we headed out on an epic trip across Canada where we visited all 10 provinces and did so many fun things along the way. And that included going to lots of yarn stores along the way, where of course I was collecting yarn and turning it into these blanket squares. Putting these squares together really feels like I'm kind of wrapping up the bow on this incredible adventure that we got to go on and getting to process all of the amazing things we got to do and people we got to meet. Let's start with all the details about this blanket. My original goal was to collect at least one yarn in each of the 10 Canadian provinces because I knew we were going to visit all of those. And I was successful, maybe a little too successful. I ended up getting a couple, maybe like 2 to 4 yarns in each province. I have a total somewhere. By the way, I also have a Ravelry project page with tons of details on this. So there are 2 patterns that I have put together for this blanket. There are pattern squares, which are all from the Yorkshire blanket by Emily of Mima Makes. And then there are plain squares, which are a solid granny square. I used the Battenberg pattern by Sandra of Cherry Heart, and I just extended it to include more rounds. My biggest goal, aside from getting a yarn from every province, was to try to use up an entire skein of fingering weight. So these are all fingering weight, but they're all held double, which really helped to use up more yarn. And I used a size 7 4.5mm hook. This is obviously going to take me more than a day to get put together, but the first thing I need to decide is my configuration. So how do I want to lay this out? I have 2 options that I want to explore. I think a 6x7 blanket would be really nice. I have 40 something squares here. I might have to make a couple more, and I have an extra skein of yarn in case I need to do that. The other option I want to explore is a 9x5. I'm interested in doing an odd number, possibly, because I do have one color here that only got 1 square. All the rest have a solid and a pattern square. So I think that's everything we need to start with for now. Let's get this laid out and see what it looks like. By the way, if you notice the chaos of all of like the boxes and stuff behind me, I apologize for that. Well, before we left for Canada, we decided to empty out our storage unit here. We're staying with my parents very graciously in Tennessee, and we emptied it out so we could save a little bit of money not having to pay for that. And the best place to put everything was around the bed in the bedroom that we're in. So I've done the best that I can. I debated waiting until I could get it all cleared to start this blanket, but that just seemed a little bit silly. Like, it's fine, right? We can all deal with a little mess. It's driving me crazy. I'm sorry if it's driving you crazy as well. We'll just be in the mess together. But no reason to delay starting this blanket. So I'm not going to lay this out for color right now. I just want to lay it out to get an idea of the grid. I've left a little space in between them because I'm planning to do like a border around it and then a connecting thing. This right here is 6x5. So I think we can kind of tell that the 5x9 is probably going to look a little odd, but I'm going to try it anyway. I'm standing on a ladder. So this is 5x8. I don't even have enough space to do 5x9. So imagine one more row of length. And to be fair, I think I've probably spaced them out more widthwise than I have lengthwise. So it will be even longer. It's not awful. It's not as awful as I'd imagined it would be, but my gut is just telling me that this isn't right. So let's try the 6x7. Okay, climb up here with me. So this is 6 wide, 7 long, and I tried my best to, space things out a little more. I do think this is probably the best thing. The whole reason I'm even debating doing a 9 by 5 in the first place is just because I want an odd number because of this square here. So this square is so fun. Color is so great. And it was gifted to me from somebody that I met in Newfoundland. And it's just really special for that reason. And they gifted me some leftovers that they had from a Newfoundland dyer. And I don't know, I just really want to include this in my blanket. So for that reason, it only has one square. Whereas all the other ones, since I had full skeins, I made two, but I can't not have it in my blanket. So I thought if I have an odd number, I'll put it in the center and then everything else will have two around it and it will be great. And I've just let this bog me down since it's a silly self-made problem. But honestly, like, I don't know, do you really see it standing out as being an odd square, except that it's probably the brightest one? There's actually another one out there that only has one too, and I feel like you can't really even see it. Well, we're gonna put it to the test because now is the fun part where I get to actually decide where each square goes. So the thing I'm gonna be paying the most attention to is color. I want to separate the two squares that are in the same yarns from each other. So I don't want those to be near each other at all. I also wanna have a balance of the smooth, plain, solid grannies and the fun textured squares. So I will probably go somewhat gridded for that, like in every other sort of situation. So this is going to take me a while because I'm just going to start playing with things and messing with things. The other thing is I don't want to have any two of the same patterns next to each other. So I will be paying attention to that. There are just about, not exactly, but just about two of each of those Yorkshire designs. So I messed up my autofocus again. I always do that somehow. I need Kent here to tell me how to fix it. But there should be about two of each of those designs. So with all of those things, trying to get all of those things separated, let's see if we can then immediately with our eyes spot the odd squares out. I've decided to separate into all of the solid squares and all of the pattern squares. And then I think I'm going to sort out the pattern squares where I have them like maybe in order from like 1 to 12 in the pattern, or just like separated from each other. And then that way I can just go alternating to lay out the pattern. This is pretty good for just an initial run. What I want to focus on now is kind of looking up and down each column and row and just making sure I didn't miss putting the same color together. Like obviously I don't want them to be right next to each other, but I also don't want them to fall in the same row or column. So I gotta kind of get a bird's eye view and check everything out. I'm gonna do a little rearranging, take a few pictures. I always find when I'm trying to put blankets together, taking a picture really helps you see it all in like one easy to digest photo. When you're looking at it in person, it can be really hard to judge. So I'm gonna do that and we'll finalize the order. That was super helpful. I ended up catching the same pattern in the same row, so I was able to switch that around. I got my like bluey green squares kind of more spread out in the blanket and just kind of got some similar colors away from each other. I always delete any photos that are not the photo I'm going to be using for joining. This will likely be my final order, but I always find something when I start joining that I'm like, oh, you know what? It will look better like this. But once you get started joining squares together, it's a lot harder to change the overall look. So I try to be really happy with what I have decided on before I get started. So next steps for me, I am going to wind my joining yarn, which I actually got to dye at Polka Dot Creek in Alberta, Canada. That was in our Alberta vlog. If you haven't seen that, it was really cool. So I got several of these to wind up. I'm also going to be holding it double. I'm going to be doing the join that is in the Yorkshire blanket. I've actually made it already one time through. It's such a fun blanket pattern. Like, I cannot recommend this one enough. If you like to crochet and you want to expand your crochet skills, it's so much fun. The tutorials are amazing. There's photo tutorials and video tutorials, and it's so much fun. I've made it twice now, kind of 3 times, because most of the squares, I did them once in the original blanket and twice in this blanket. Still love them. Still so much fun. So the join for this, you do a few rounds around each square, and then you do, it's a little bit hard to see, you do kind of this cool, like almost textured looking join. So I'm going to be following that exactly. And I may even do the border that I was supposed to do on this blanket that I ended up changing on this one. We'll just have to see. I'm also going to start washing all of my squares. I'm not going to do them all at once, but I'm going to start with the first row, most likely, maybe the first 2 rows, and kind of sort them by like darker and lighter colors. I do want to block these because it does make them a little bit easier to put together if they are the same size, but they're already very similar. So I don't think things are going to change that much. It shouldn't matter that much. There's only a couple that came out a little bit smaller, maybe just because the yarn's a little bit different. But what I really want to make sure is that when I eventually wash this blanket all together, it does not bleed. So going ahead and washing some of these colors will let any extra dye runoff go ahead and come off of them. So I'm going to get started on that tonight, and hopefully tomorrow we can begin assembly. Yesterday was a busy day, so I didn't get the chance to film anything, but I have gotten over half the squares blocked. Like, I only have a few left, I think just the last row, which is great. No bleeding so far. And I got a couple of skeins wound just to get me started. And I have started joining things. I am just barely started, so you haven't missed much, but I did take advantage of going over to my brother's last night. We were watching some football, and I just got started on my first 2 squares, and you can see I am just barely starting to join them. So there's going to be a point in this project where it gets very unportable. So I kind of want to blast through things. I'm giving myself these first few days to kind of get back into the groove of getting everything done. Plus, I don't know if you can tell, I did some cleaning up yesterday, which feels really good. So balancing things I need to take care of in my life with this blanket, but I really do want to get it done kind of fast because I find that that's really a good pace for me. Like, I like a challenge. I can really focus on it. I keep up my momentum throughout it if I have like a pretty good timeline. So today I would really love to get the first row done. So all 6 of the first, I think I'm starting at the top. So all of those first 6 squares joined together. And then tomorrow, hopefully, I can do another 6, and that, it changes a little bit from there when you're joining on 2 sides of the blanket, because you join a whole row across, stacking them, and then you join, I believe, one at a time and join them. I think that's right. I'm still kind of like, I'm relearning it because it's been a while since I did the other blanket. I think I finished that one in January of this year. So I forget how much fun it is. It's so much fun. So I'm going to work on this a bit today, here in bed, relax, maybe wind up a little more yarn, block a few more squares. I'm not blocking them super intensely, just a couple pins, 1 pin in each corner, just to get them out nice and flat. But I also realized the benefit of that is that when I'm finished with this now, my blanket will technically be clean. I mean, aside from the joining yarn that I use, but since I'm mostly going to be doing that at home, it's not really going to be dirty. Whereas these squares have been a lot of places, outside, in and out of different yarn stores. I mean, just everywhere. It's kind of gross. I have just finished up the first row across the top of 6 squares. So I now know the width of the blanket, and it is measuring 65 inches, which is huge. This is going to be such a nice blanket. I feel like you can't get the full perspective of it. I mean, this is a really good size. I am so happy with this. So I'm about to join the first square of the second row. I think I just dropped my hook there. And this has been so much fun. I am very behind where I would have loved to have been on, what are we now on, like the 3rd or 4th day here. So I'm just gonna focus on getting as many squares done this afternoon. I'm having a cozy little afternoon, watching some shows in bed, and I'll come back to do more chatting later. I'm at a week now into making this blanket, and I feel like I finally hit my stride yesterday. Yesterday was the first day that I was able to join in 6 squares, which has kind of been my goal every day since I started joining it. And it takes a lot of time. I would say each square takes approximately like 35 minutes at this point. So it's about 3.5 hours, which is a lot of time every single day. But I wanted to show you the blanket because I'm now at the halfway point and it's looking so good. I was really a little unsure when I first laid everything out how this was going to look, because just the squares are a little bit random, but I think the pink is really tying things together. It's looking so nice. I don't even know, I kind of maybe got too close to the camera, but she is big. I already measured across, right? And it's 65 inches. It'll be longer than that. So this is going to be such a great size blanket. So I've gotten organized here. I finally got out one of my float totes. This is a design, actually this is my very first design I ever made. And it's just a big crocheted circular tote, but inside of it, you can like fold down the sides, which is really nice. And it has little yarn cups in it. So I have finished winding up all of my yarn now. I had 6 skeins and I just finished up the first 2 yesterday. But then I remembered when I was making the original blanket, can you see it? It's like right down here. When I was making the Yorkshire originally, I remembered what I did to kind of speed up the process a little bit is I would go ahead and put the first 2.5 rounds on 2 squares. And then I would sit down with my blanket and I would join them back to back, like doing that last round. So I don't really know how to describe that. It's not really like a Simile line style, but you do the same thing twice in a row. It makes it a little more efficient than me doing 1 square, join, another square, join. It's like work 2 squares most of the way, join them back to back. I don't know, it just feels a little bit faster. So in order to do that, I need 4 skeins of yarn because I'm holding double. So that's been my process now. So every day, come over here, I have this stack right here. And actually, wait, I just finished, sorry, let me twist you around again. I just finished blocking the last 6 squares. So they should be dry because I did that yesterday. But every morning, I'm coming over to my stack of blocked squares and I am grabbing the 6 for the day. And I'm also checking it against the photo that I have just to like double check that I'm actually getting the right squares. So hold on, let me pull that up. Got it. All right, so then I am pulling out, and they should already be in order because I tried to stack them in order when I took them off the blocking boards, but just to check, this will be the first one I do today. 2, 3. This is actually going to start the next row. 4, 5, and 6. And I am going to take these and tuck them into my float tote here. And that's just like a visual for me that these are the 6 I want to get through today. So it's nice because I can see the stack going down as I'm working it rather than pulling from the big stack. I just put out like today's quota, for example. And that's working really nicely for me. So I'm about to get on Zoom with my Love and Stitches members and see if I can't crochet around a couple of squares. I've had a very successful little Zoom break, and I added in these 2 squares, which now means I am 4 squares tall on my blanket. So 4 rows completed out of 7, which feels really good. I've got 4 more squares left I want to add today, which I don't think should be a problem, especially since I am going to my local yarn store, Bliss Yarns, today, and I'll have a couple of hours this afternoon to work on this. So I'm just gonna tuck everything away for now, get back to work, and I will get back to this later. I only have 4 squares left to add in, which I believe probably makes, fingers crossed, today the last day that I am joining squares into the blanket. I won't be done because I do need to do a border, but that is very exciting. I am running into a little bit of a snag though, because this is all of the yarn that I have left. Oh my goodness, please stay together. So I don't know, probably a few days ago, I started to get a little worried that I might not have enough yarn to make the border. And I was thinking, that's okay. I could always find another yarn for the border. I do have that extra skein that I bought actually at Polka Dot Creek that I could use for the border. But now I'm starting to get nervous that I don't have enough yarn to join all the squares. So just to give myself peace of mind, before I do this next square, I am going to get my scale out and weigh how much yarn it takes to join a square. That way I will know if I have enough to complete the blanket. So that's problem number 1. And then of course, problem number 2 is the border. I did want to do the full border from the Yorkshire blanket. It looks like this. It's very cute. It looks very fun. I feel like it'll be like fun and girly and perfect for my blanket, but there is no chance that I have enough of this pink yarn. So that kind of leaves me in, with some decisions to make. Do I want to order more of this yarn, which will be coming from another country, which has, those issues on its own, and the added time of waiting to finish the blanket when I'm so excited and motivated right now. There's also that part in the back of my mind with like a use what you have mentality. So I kind of feel like I don't want to order more yarn for that reason alone. I do have this color that is from Polka Dot Creek. It's a pink, it's a more dusty pink. It has other colors in it, but that would provide me with a full skein for the border. I still don't know if that would be enough. I could kind of go wild on the border and do like some rows with the different things, maybe like leading into something different. But I feel like what I was imagining all along was the same pink color that I used to join. So it's a little hard for me to like flip from that. So that's going to be a decision for later, tomorrow, I guess. But I just kind of wanted to start thinking about if this would work. I mean, it's actually not too different, I guess. I'm going to have to think about this one. But first, we're going to weigh some yarn and I'm going to work a square here and just hope that I have enough to join all of the squares. I finished my square and I reweighed those skeins to find out that it takes 15 grams to go around one square and attach it. And I have 30 grams left of that yarn. I still have 2 more partials, but if these don't weigh 15 grams, I'm not gonna have enough to join my last 3 squares because this is 15 and 15 is 30, and I have 3 squares left. So, moment of truth. Oh my goodness. It's like exactly 15 grams. That's crazy. Oh, I'm like crossing my fingers and making my stitches tight. Yesterday got away from me a little bit, and I had big plans to finish out these last 3 squares. And as you can see, I didn't get any of that done. I did the 1 square to figure out if I had enough yarn left to join, and then I did a whole whopping like 7 stitches here. So this is top priority today. But I thought since we're nearing the end of this blanket, it might be fun to share with you some of my favorite things about Canada as I add in like these last few squares. So one thing for each square. I've been thinking about these for a couple of days and they're nothing particularly profound, but just, some fun things and things that I'm going to miss. So it's lunchtime right now. I'm going to attempt to get 1 square joined. And one thing that I just love about Canada is all the new foods and treats we got to try, specifically the candies. So I have a couple. We have been home for 2 weeks now that I have been holding out on, kind of savoring to get to eat. So one of those is the coffee crisp. It's so delicious. The bar is good, but I discovered these way too late in our journey. These coffee crisp pops, I have a few left. I mean, I am genuinely like eating 7 a day and just like savoring them. These are 20 times better and the coffee crisp bar is good. So I love these so much. If we ever find ourselves back in Canada or if these ever make their way to the US, I'm totally going to get more of them. Another one that I discovered I really liked is called a Crunchy. It's kind of like honeycomb on the inside. It's crisp, it's really good, and of course covered in chocolate. Okay, I'm gonna get my lunch going, get a video queued up, and get in this square. I finished work a little early today, so I'm getting comfy cozy in bed before I have to go somewhere. But I was able to get the second square here ready to join in during lunch. So I'm just gonna sit and do that real quick. So second thing I love about Canada definitely has to be the national parks. They're just incredible. And I mean, let's just rope in, honestly, all of the natural wonders of Canada in general, going from all the way east in Newfoundland, which is an island, which is just surrounded by ocean. It makes the weather there super different. There's so much wildlife there. Like Newfoundland was just absolutely incredible. I mean, we saw icebergs while we were there. It was so cool. And then going all the way west to British Columbia, where we were on Vancouver Island in the rainforest. There's like black sand beaches. I mean, it's just so incredible. I think ending our time in Alberta, where we got to go to some of the most coveted national parks that are in that area, was really special. Getting to see those glacial lakes. I mean, just stunning. Like, just so incredibly beautiful. And honestly, we can't also forget that in Manitoba, we got to see these beautiful places as well. We got to visit a farm and go to Long Way Homestead and get to see all these cute little sheep. So there's just so many good memories along the way. So I'm gonna get this little guy joined in. It looks like Toaster has joined me. If you can just see him. Is it chilly in here? Let's see if I can share my blanket with him. Final square. It's not quite ready to add back in, but it's starting to get dark outside, and I know that as I start to wind down for the evening, I forget to film things. And I will probably be adding this one into my blanket while my parents and I do our nightly house hunters watch while we have dinner. So all that being said, I wanted to come share with you my last favorite thing about traveling in Canada. So this one's going to be really broad, but it was just generally being in another country, getting to kind of hear people speak in a slightly different way, learn like slightly different traffic patterns. Like, I think I talked about this before, how the traffic lights are different in the different provinces. They're different from the US. They have flashing green lights that mean different things on different sides of the country. Getting to hear people speak in another language was super, super cool, speaking French. Even though most of the country speaks English, it sounds a little bit different than how we like some of the terms we use here in the US. One of them is washroom. We heard a lot, and Kent and I kind of picked that up, and we started saying or asking, where's the washroom, instead of where's the bathroom or where's the restroom. I quickly lost that as soon as we got back here. But it's just like, it's really interesting and really fun to learn about another place. It's my first and only time spending extended time in another country, and I just really enjoyed it. And it made me want to do that more, to get to explore other places. I understand why people love traveling so much, and finding out things about other places. So a really broad one, but I wanted to share that one too. So one less square. I'm really sad. I think you saw on my last square that I had just enough yarn. I did start tightening up my stitches slightly on my joining round, but I only had this much left to join in my final, or my second to last square, but it was the end of that ball of yarn. And I will be about the same on this one because I need approximately 15 grams, and this was about 15.25 grams. So I am so lucky that I have just enough to join all of the squares. It's all joined together and it looks so stinking good. I don't know if I'll be able to back up far enough for you to see it. Let me lay it out on the bed. Oh, it's so cozy. It's almost as long as this king size bed, not quite as wide. This is a good size. Come here. You want to come hang out too? You like the blanket? You're gonna steal it from me? So let's talk borders. I have essentially 3 options. I could just leave it as, uh-oh. No, I'm not gonna be able to show you. I could just leave it as is. I mean, technically it does have a border around it, right? Because I went around all the squares, but I don't love that option. One, it doesn't look balanced to me because it's thicker in between the squares than it is on the edge. I feel like the border should be thicker than the join, right? And plus, every time it goes to a new square, it has like a slight dip. I also just really like that scalloped border. I think it's really fun. I didn't get to put it on my other blanket, or I chose not to, so I really want to add it to this. So I think option 1 is out. I don't want to leave it as is. I could use a different yarn, which I have chosen this one to try out. I'm not 100% sure I'm going to like it, so I don't know if I love it, but the only way is to try. So I'm going to wind this up today and give it a try. And then of course my third option would be to order more yarn and wait for it to get here and then finish the blanket later on down the road. So we won't know until we try something. So I'm going to get this wound up and we're going to do a little sample. I've finished up my sample and here it is. It's such a beautiful border. Like, I'm going to enjoy doing this so much. It's going to take a long time, but man, it is beautiful. But you know what? I don't love it in this color. I really don't. I just think it looks a little bit off to change the color on the last couple of rounds. So I think I'm going to try to see if I can order more yarn, which is going to take at least a couple weeks, and then I need to do the border, which will definitely take me a few days. So that's where we're gonna have to leave it at for now, which is a little bit sad. I don't want to end on a bummer, but I think I've learned my lesson in the past of rushing through projects, especially in the finishing stage when you just want to finish them. Like, I am so motivated right now to work on this project. Like, if I had the yarn, I would be doing this only. I just would want to keep going on it. But instead, I'm going to have to be satisfied with my other projects. And in the long run, it's going to be worth it because I have spent 4.5 months on this blanket, actually more than that at this point, collecting the yarn and making the squares as we traveled across Canada. And then this past almost 2 weeks of putting it together. That's a lot of time. It's a lot of money that I've put into this, and it doesn't make sense to rush it at the end and have something that I'm not going to be happy with. So even though it's a bit of a bummer, it's going to be worth it in the end to really finish this blanket off just spectacularly. Also, I don't know if I would have enough yarn to do the whole border. I think that would make me more upset than anything, is doing all of those rounds to set up and then not being able to finish it off. Oh my gosh, that would just be torture, would it not? So if I'm able to order more yarn, which I think I will be able to, I'm definitely going to get extra just in case, and I can always use the extra yarn for something else. Something I should have done in the first place. Well, we're going to end it here. I still have a beautiful blanket that I can actually use right now, which is pretty exciting, so you really can't be mad at that. Guess what just came in the mail? It's my border yarn. I cannot believe that it is here so quickly. I genuinely thought I was going to be waiting for a couple of weeks, maybe 3 weeks, which was totally reasonable for the yarn to get, custom dyed and then mailed from Canada. And Polka Dot Creek is so amazing. They got it out to me so fast, which I appreciate so much. So I have 4 more skeins of my Natalie's Special Pink, and I just really hope that this is enough for the border. There are 4 rounds to the border, so I think we'll be okay. I am itching to get started on this. I cannot wait to finish this blanket. I've just been waiting. And I'm glad I still have some momentum to finish it. I'm like still just as excited as I was, I don't know, a week or so ago once I finished joining everything. So there's just one little hitch, and that is that Emily says in the pattern, if you have an odd number of squares, that blanket or the border pattern is not going to work. So I did a little math and configuring this morning, basically trying to figure out what the repeat is for the stitches on the border. And from what I could figure out, it's a repeat of 10 plus 10. So I think as long as you have a multiple of 10, I should be fine. So on my sides that have my top and bottom have 6 squares, so they'll be fine. I don't need to mess with those. But on my sides, I have 7 squares. And I just did this. So 7 times 45, which is how many stitches are on the border, is 315 stitches. I think that if I can just either reduce or increase, and I think I'm going to go with reduce because I don't want to ripple in my border. If I can just take away 5 stitches, decrease by 5 stitches, spread out along those sides on my first round, then I'll have 310, which is a multiple of 10, and I think the border will work out. So fingers crossed. Whatever I ended up figuring out, I'll make sure to put in my project page too. But I hope it's as simple as that. I hope I'm not like missing anything here that it needs to be repeated over longer. So I'm having my lunch right now, so I've got some time to work on this. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna wind up 2 for now. Again, since I'm holding things double, I do need the 2 skeins, and we'll see if I need to get into these other ones. I figured now that I'm saying this, I'm totally gonna run out of yarn, but I figured if I ordered 4 skeins, I could at least use the extras for something else because I love this color. It's so pretty, maybe putting a blanket together in the future, even a top or something. So let's do this, and let's start the border. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but I think I may be able to finish this today. So yesterday I finished up doing the first round, which is basically just single crochet, but it involved a lot of counting because I wanted to make sure I had the right stitch count after every single square so that I didn't get to the second round and then have the wrong stitch count or have to count entirely across all of the sides. And it worked out perfectly. When I did the second round, I was a little nervous about doing those long sides because I had done the math thinking that that second round was a 10 stitch repeat, but I still wasn't 100% sure until I did one of the long sides, and it worked out great. Everything worked out great. I'm so happy with it. I think those 5 stitches being decreased across, oh my gosh, I don't remember exactly how many, 45 times 7, whatever that is, you're not going to notice those 5 stitches. We're not going to miss them at all. So I did the whole second round. Well, did I? I think I did the whole second round yesterday. And that's when we really get started on these cute little scallops. So that's round number 2. And then either last night, I think maybe like just before I went to bed last night, because I couldn't resist like starting the third round because that's where it really starts to shine. And then this morning I was able to do a little bit more as well. But you get into these little puff stitches, which are so cute. And there's only one more round after this. Now, this is definitely the longest round. It's also starting to really eat up yarn, but I still have 2 more skeins. It's a little tangled. I still have 2 more skeins should I need them. We'll see. I don't know. I've only done one side on the final round so far. So I am gonna sit here and have a little lunch and work on this a little bit further and then snap that back into place. And then later today, I'm going to Bliss, which means I have my weekly stitch night. So I'm gonna have several extra hours of stitching time that I don't normally have in my day because I end my workday early so I can go in early. It's really fun. So yeah, I'm feeling positive about getting to finish this, which is really wild. I genuinely thought I was going to be working on this for like 4 days minimum, and we're only on day 2 of the border. I'm home from stitch night and I just got into the last row. Actually, I think I've done a whole side. Let me see if I can get it untangled here to show you. I probably thought I was going to get more done. I definitely thought I was going to get more done, but you know, you get to chit-chatting and talking to people, and I was also working on another project too, but I still did quite a lot. Let's see. Oh yeah, I think I've already done one entire side of the last round. I know the lighting is not great here once it gets dark outside, but that is the final look, what it's going to look like. So from, let's see. Oh, perfect. Here's where I am. So from these guys, where there's just a little puff stitch, to adding that last round really like finishes it off. So I don't know if I will get it finished tonight, but I'm going to still work on it. It's only like 7:30. We're about to have dinner. I'm gonna get into my pajamas and relax, but I kind of can feel my arms getting a little tired. I don't want to overdo it tonight. And there's something kind of special and nice about like saving the last bit of a project, the last weaving in ends for the next day. At least for me, I kind of like doing that instead of just pushing through at night. I feel like I always don't make the wisest decisions at night. Not that there's really anything to make with this. This is pretty straightforward. I'm getting so close, but you know, even just doing that last little end to weave in, I want it to be really nice and really tidy, that final little bow on the project. So I might just save it for the morning. The whole last 3 weeks I've been working to get to the end of this blanket to finish this epic project. And when I turned the corner and realized I only had a few more stitches to go, I found myself getting really sad about ending this blanket. Not only has it been just so much fun, border included, to put together, but it also feels like the true end to this epic Canadian adventure that we had this summer. As I was putting in each square, I was just reminded of all the wonderful experiences that we got to have. And I feel so blessed that we got to go on this journey. I know that the next chapter of our life is also going to be super exciting, but it's going to be different, and I'm going to miss this time that we spent full-time traveling and exploring a different country. This blanket turned out better than I could have imagined. It's such a great size, it's so beautiful, and I'm so happy to have all of these memories tied in to this one thing that is going to bring me comfort and warmth for the next years to come.